but we are robbing kids of living their life.
Yeah.
We are wrapping them in cotton wool for their childhood, which is really so very short, and then suddenly they are young adults and they don't know how to resource themselves in the most basic ways because they've never had the opportunity to really stretch themselves, you know. And kids need to know that they have a soft place to fall, but they don't want it there all the time.
No,
they certainly don't want it visibly, you know. They actually want to know it's there, but they also want to step out and find out where the edges are.
Yeah.
They want to find out how fast they can go until they hit an edge, you know. So I just think that there are so... Hello, Quanta folks, and welcome to another episode of Alchemising Education, our little sister podcast for Faark the Shoulds. I am QuantiMamas Jodi.
Hello, everyone, and I'm QuantiMamas Kerri. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
I love it.
Heather.
Yeah, we love this time.
We are going to jump straight into it today because well, there's a lot to say, but also I've had a real bugbear about this particular topic for some time.
You really have.
Well,
with good reason.
I'm just thinking, I mean, is it my right to be offended when I see this? But I think the thing is that we are dedicating a good portion of our day, week, month, year, lifetime to helping parents be better versions of themselves so the kids can really benefit, because we see that it's needed, right?
Yep.
And when we talk about this topic, I feel that there is a perversiveness of acceptance that has gone through our society where we're not saying anything. But more than that, if you say anything, it's like this thing of you're not being inclusive enough, you're not accepting people and their choices and that sort of thing. But when it's doing harm, surely we're meant to say something, right? So what is it? What are we talking about? What is that?
When are you going to get to the topic?
Got me all up in a twist, Keza.
Well, we're talking about technology,
and particularly technology and children.
Yes, at such a young age it starts.
Oh, I mean, I just am amazed walking around, like even just our local community, and people walking the whole time looking at their phone. Yeah. I get it. It is our, lifeline to a lot of things we do, but we are creating a disservice to our kids. And the image that always strikes me as being the most dissonant is seeing people out for a walk with their prams and the kids are sitting in the prams with the iPad.
Oh, yeah, that is a frightening one. That is a really frightening one because it's done so easily by parents to just... There's this just an unconscious awareness around the fact that, hang on, I've just got something to do. Let you take that and I can get my stuff done.
Yes.
You're happy, I can have a bit of headspace time or whatever it might be. But, when you're in a pram, when kids are in a pram, there is so much opportunity to just be able to observe and watch and look and see and, and yet, they're taking away that greatest gift of being able to do that by putting a phone in there just to keep them quiet for just a little bit of time.
Yes.
At such a young age.
I got to call it out. Yeah. It is, could I be as strong as saying it's negligent parenting? It is definitely lazy parenting. Now, maybe we didn't have that opportunity so much when our kids were little. I know certainly, you're a couple of years ahead of me, but even mine, I made the call very early to not even have screens in the car.
Yes.
So if we do a long trip, no screens.
Yes. Yeah.
And, that did make it difficult, but it just became the norm and the kids didn't have the option. So today we are calling out the perversity that is technology and our children. And with everything, it always starts with us.
Oh, my gosh, it so does. And I think that there is that cognitive dissonance around the technology and the harm that it's doing to our kids, because a lot of the things with technology is you can't see the harm that it's creating or it's done really, really slowly over time. So because we sort of do a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, we sort of kind of go, oh, it's okay. We're kind of getting away with it.
Yes.
It's not going to do any harm.
Yes.
But the habits that you're creating for yourself and your children around just allowing that little bit. And, you know, it's a little bit like this morning when I did my dip. You know, I was talking to someone about how we're not used to being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things I love about that ocean dip is the fact that I'm constantly putting my body under that pressure of discomfort and knowing that I'm going to be okay with that. And it's a little bit the same with parenting around, oh, you know, we're exhausted or we're tired or we just want to get that little bit of a moment of just keeping the kids quiet. Like, you know, using technology as a babysitter is a Monty for so many people. And it used to be even for us when the kids were a little bit younger at times where it's like, okay, I just need a bit of, let's just put them in front of the TV, you know, but now it's becoming even closer to their bodies.
Yes.
And just because we're perhaps a little uncomfortable about something, maybe it's just a bit harder today. I don't have the energy, you know, so we don't want that discomfort for ourselves. So we very quickly create this environment where we can just give ourselves a bit of, I don't know, is it grace or permission or time? And
I want to pick up something that you just said that I think needs to be called out in itself. And I've talked to many expectant parents about this idea of not having enough energy. That you definitely encounter that during, say, the birthing process, but you also encounter it when you're a parent of small children and you think you don't have energy. Yes, you can be tired as FARK, no doubt. That sleep debt is real and it is fatiguing and it is cumulative. But you always have enough energy, and you always have enough energy to make decisions that are for the greater good or for the long-term impact as well. And I think that's the problem is it's not one thing with parents. It literally is this insidiousness that our society has created an opportunity for parents to feel okay about this. It's a very short-term view where the kids are babysat and distracted. And then there are obviously a host of concerns that we have around technology. So if we go through some of the concerns that we would have, we would say that there is a disconnect with nature. If we take the example of the kid in the pram out for a walk, and, you know, my kids, when they would say, "a bird" in the car, I'd be like, well, look out Mother Nature's, you know, television. You've got your screen right next to you. It's called a window, and just see what's out there. And, you know, I don't mind our kids being bored. I celebrate that, and I know we've talked about that before. But firstly, we've got this absolute disconnect with nature, which has a real effect, say, even on mental health, on how the body, I guess, calibrates and recalibrates around viruses and any kind of upgrades, like all those kind of things. There's so many regulatory things that come from being in Mother Nature. So that in itself is good to actually have a relationship with Mother Nature. So when we disconnect that, then we put our bodies into a state of potential dis-ease.
Correct.
Right. So that's one thing. Now, the next thing is that we have this panacea of being rescued from being bored or curious. God forbid the kid asks any questions while they're out on the walk because the mum's trying to have a break. I get it, right? But we must look at the long-term impact. So that's, again, the babysitter out there. And then we have the next issue, which I think has been something that you have researched far more and have taken far more action on, which is the prevalence of EMFs.
Yes.
And being in that field. I would love for you to talk on that because you actually went down this pathway of making quite a healthy home, didn't you?
Well, I did understand, just because we can't see the EMFs, the frequency waves, we just assume they're not there. Like, it's not something that's discussed. When you buy a phone or you put a Apple TV in your house or whatever the technology is, we don't get told that the frequency waves that are emitting off those devices. So when I started looking into that and just researching it and understanding, wow, the impact on our body and our health is huge. And of course, these organisations are not going to tell you that because they want to sell you a product.
Yes.
So nobody wants to talk about, what's the other one? The home unit where...
Oh, yeah, like the Alexa.
Alexa, whatever in the home, you know. Oh, Alexa, turn on my lights.
Yeah. God forbid if you have to walk over the wall and hit the switch. Ugh. That's so annoying.
Not only is it setting a sedentary lifestyle that we end up, you know, creating. But those EMFs are so strong and so damaging.
Yes.
You know, it really, I mean, it fries our brains, it fries our bodies over time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just short term, it's definitely the long term as well. So when I discovered that and realized that the risks that I was putting my family under, and when I started to question, you know, certain behaviors within the house or certain feelings or emotions that were really struggling for the kids, I kind of thought, okay, I've got to do something about this. And you can wire things back in. So when we went to the non-wired, you know, this Wi-Fi, how amazing was that? We don't have to have the cords, we don't have to connect.
Yes.
That's when the problems became into our homes. They came to our doors. And people do not realise just what's going on there. So you can easily get everything rewired again. Yeah, it costs a bit of money, but so does our health.
Well, I mean, that's at some point you pay for it, right?
You
just
really
have to
do.
decide whether you've got it on lay-by or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So you can go ahead and just put the what they call the Ethernet cables back into the home, and we got that into certain parts of the house so that the Wi-Fi is not damaging through the cells of our bodies and radiating from one wall to the other. You can actually reconnect your computers back in, and the same with your TVs. But I would never. I mean, our TV is quite old. I think our
and
TV,
may it continue
and I tell you what, I am holding on to that big time. I think it must be a good 15, 16 years old, right? And I am not wanting to change it. The one thing you can do is, rather than getting a TV, is you can use a large computer screen, which emits far less EMFs as a computer screen compared to the TVs.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So you can definitely do that as well. So if we ever have to replace our TV, which will never be one of those that has the Bluetooth in it, I'm not interested in Bluetooth devices in the house, because that's another very big element of the technology that really does damage. I would get a computer screen and have it actually wired in, and use the computer to then, you know,
well, everything like talks to screens these days anyway, right? I mean, that's
correct.
I mean, I think sometimes with TVs, they're just a glorified computer screen that they've got that built in. So they're just turned into an extension of the computer, right? Because no one's using free to air, let's be honest.
No, they're not. I assume they're not.
I don't know. Who would sit through an ad?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I don't know. I don't watch the mainstream TV.
No,
but I don't know. Do you still get ads?
I'm assuming you must. Can't all be product placement.
No, that's true. They've got to get something out of it, don't they?
It's a fascinating thing because it's so enmeshed. And what I tend to notice is that when something becomes the norm, and it's so prevalent, people get desensitized to it. And so then they don't question it, and they certainly aren't as outraged, you know. And it's that thing of, I mean, it's funny. My headphones finally died, and I've been lucky because they were second-hand Bose ones, but they were wired. Anyway, I went and replaced them the other day, and I wanted some ones that were, you know, I could make phone calls on, and I wanted wired ones. Everything is an option these days, right? So it's unwired, but you can put a wire in there. Now, I spent good money because I'm going to look after it and all that sort of. Anyway, these headphones. Oh, firstly, the people selling them have got no bloody idea about them, right? I asked all the questions, thought I'd done relevant due diligence. I really need to do more due diligence, because I found out that even with the wire in,
there's a Bluetooth device.
There's a Bluetooth device. Now, you can turn that off, right? So I'm happy with that. Now, they're very expensive, possible Bluetooth, but I'm using them non-Bluetooth, right? But I can't make any effing phone calls on them because the Bluetooth has to be on for the microphone to work, right? Because the microphone's built in next to my head. Right? So I'm like, oh, shit, now I've got these headphones. What am I going to do? So when I found out I had to unplug the wire for the microphone to work as well. As soon as you plug the wire in, it then switches off the microphone.
Wow.
And I'm like, so these headphones are so smart that they're completely unfit for what I want. Right? I want old school ones that just have a mic on them. And I think the thing is that as our choices get far and far limited, because you can only get these smart devices now, we become desensitized and we stop saying, hey, I want an option that's not smart, but also comfortable to wear as well.
And it's because, it's an inconvenience even searching for those products. Now, they are out there. They are out there.
Yes.
They might be more expensive. Look, I'm not sure because mine are still working and I don't have that problem, but I need to check about the mic.
Yeah.
It's a good question. But when you do go into a store, they look at you as if to say, well, everyone wants unwired. Why are you asking this question?
Well, he was shocked when I said I'm not scanning a QR code.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I lost him then. He said, well, how come? And I went, is it like a conspiracy thing? I just went, I'm not explaining this one to you, mate. You're into it. You've got your wired earpiece on.
Yeah.
You're doing
around the store with their little thing in there.
Luck to you, sir. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
So let's circle back to the kids because I feel passionately about calling this out. I see in the conversations in the forums and the community that people are desensitized to this to the point where those of us that do have an opinion that's contrary or almost want to, as a hook a sister up love kind of service, call this stuff out, we get, resoundingly silenced because somehow it's an unpopular thing. Yeah. But the reality is that as we create these habits for our kids, in fact, they're worse than that. They're addictions.
Yeah.
As we create these addictions for our kids, it becomes more challenging to actually deprogram them from that. Yeah. And I found that out yesterday at the we popped into the library and we haven't been getting there much, but we went to the library, had some time to kill, and QuantiKid 4 has mostly been just listening to audiobooks all day, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're at the library and he hasn't got the iPad with him to listen to an audiobook. And I'm like, well, go find another book. Like, we're in a really convenient place that has lots of books, right?
Yeah.
He couldn't handle it. And I was like, oh, my goodness. So I said to McGill, red flag, we've got to actually start detoxing this kid and pulling him away from the technology because I can see that it's becoming this constant companion for him. And I don't want
that. It's like a handbag. They just can't let go of it everywhere they go. They've got, what is it, the little soft toy as a kid where they have to carry it everywhere.
That's right.
Comforter.
That's right. That's exactly, well, that's why I always call it a Linus blanket. I always think of the Peanut cartoons, Linus. Linus always had his blanket. I'm showing my age now.
I love those.
Yeah, I know. That's good. So, I mean, I get that kids need comfort, but what I want to do, and I think this is where it can be an offensively stark contrast to basically start thinking about these things as unhealthy, is I want you to think about the fact that you're putting a cigarette in your kids' fingers.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think, for so many years when it comes to those cigarettes where people used to smoke them, there was always that feeling they knew they weren't great for their health. And they'd just say, oh, yeah, they're not good, but hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until, 20, I don't know how many years later, 30, 40 years later, when they finally go, oh, actually, maybe they're not good for you and maybe we do need to start talking about the seriousness of the long-term impact. And then they get them e-cigarettes, which are far worse anyway. But, we'll give you an e-cigarette instead. We'll help you stop the addiction. We'll addict you to some other substance.
I know. It's like heroin and methadone. Here you go. Here's another drug. Just swap one for the other. Just one's legal.
Exactly. So I think we kind of have to call it out like that and say, well, why wait for someone else to tell you that these things aren't healthy?
Yes.
Why not just start tuning into what doesn't really make sense to you that those things are going to be okay? Who's telling you that they're going to be okay? Like, isn't there that little part of you inside, if you stopped and listened to the stillness around you and just sort of stop and go, okay, what do I know to be true? What really, if I was honest with myself, what do I believe to be true? And if we really stop without all the noise, without all the people around us, without all the other people who are just going, that's okay, we'll be fine, doesn't matter, it's not going to really hurt us.
Yes.
We stop and we listen to ourselves, we will know that these things are harmful.
I think so too. And I think the thing is, look, if you don't mind that pathway that you're taking your child on, more power to you. Go for it. No problems, right? Feed them Maccas every day. Don't be surprised when they've got whatever, colon cancer or whatever, right? Just know what you're actually signing them up for. And I think that's the issue is people are gaslighting themselves and they're gaslighting each other. Oh, it's completely fine if you need a break, yada, yada, yada. Yes, it is completely fine if you need a break, but there are other ways to do this that I think have more moderation in there.
Yes.
And I just think that we've got too addicted to convenience and comfort, you know. I mean, this is a whole other podcast, isn't it? But that addiction to convenience and comfort is so great now that we kid ourselves and we kid each other. And the issue I always have, and I think this is why I'm so interested in being in the birth and parenting space, is that rarely do the kids have a voice in this.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, the parents are doing what they think is the best, but are they doing what is best for the child or what's best for them in that moment? And is it the long game or the short view? And you know, is there another option, or are we literally just retiring on what's convenient? You know?
Yeah, definitely what's convenient. And other, as you said, other people do sort of support us in saying, "Oh, it'll be okay."
Yeah,
you know, well, I'm doing it. I had a conversation with someone this morning who was exactly that. I highlighted the fact they were talking about the Apple Watch that they gave their child, a grade 6 one, just because they want to be able to know where they are at all times.
Right.
And so I kind of went, well,
where's the fun in that?
Well, not only that, but where do they learn that responsibility? You know, where do they learn to just, I mean, yes, we can always go back to in our days.
Yeah.
But you kind of go, all of this control that we have over our children, needing to watch them, it's actually not about the child, it's about us.
Correct. That's right.
So, you know, there was this sense of, this mother, I need to know where they are.
Yeah.
Because if something happens and I don't know about it for an hour or two, how am I going to feel about that?
But what are you going to do anyway? I mean, literally, I had this conversation with McGill yesterday because he was talking about something or other. It might have been QuantiKid 2. She's gone on a little trip and she's got the phone with her.
Oh, yeah.
And she was saying to me, because I said, look, you know, she went on this bus trip by herself, and I said, look, sit behind the driver. It was the first one she'd ever done. So it was actually a big leap for her, finding that comfort.
Yeah.
And but it was all initiated on her own terms, and that's what we do in our household. We don't push the kids to stuff that they're not comfortable doing, because that doesn't create safety for them, right? And they don't have a sense of ownership over that experience. It's forced upon them. So in this sense, she's driven it, which is awesome. And she said to me, "Oh, like, don't worry, Mum, I've got the phone." And I said, "What's the phone going to do for you?" And McGill literally said the same thing. And I went, what do you think you're going to do with the phone? Like, if something goes tits up for her, right, then you'll know about it via phone, but you won't be anywhere near her to support her. So this idea that the phone is some kind of safety mechanism, the amount of kids that have got bloody phones now, I'm like, what are you doing? Why do these kids need phones? Oh, in case they need to call me.
Yeah.
And, like, literally everybody you walk past in the street has a phone.
I know.
And I would defy anyone who said that a child that needed help, who said to you, "May I borrow your phone and call my mum?" as if anyone would say no to that. I mean, unless you're a masochist, you're going to say yes.
Absolutely.
So it's this idea
and
that would have to be
actually
communicative. It just doesn't. But even in the rare occasions when it does, I get that. But there is, what's happening is we're breeding children who don't have resources.
Yeah,
everything is constantly done for them. They are, you know, this is a new version of helicopter parenting. And in fact, most of those parents that get their kids' phones will be convincing themselves they're not helicopter parents. And I'm like, if you've got a Find My Phone on there or some kind of tracking device on your child, then you are helicopter parenting. And you don't give them any spaciousness for any responsibility, but also kind of not secrecy, but just something for them. Like, they've got nothing to tell you, because they'll come home and say, "I went here and went there," and you'll be like, "Yeah, I know.
I was watching. I was following."
I mean, what would that feel like if you got home and your beautiful husband said to you, "Oh, I saw that you went here and then you went there and then you went there and then you went there," and you'd be like, would that fill you with a sense of belonging and significance, Keza?
That's right. No, and it's really interesting. I've never used that app. You know, I hear lots of parents, even as their kids are going into their 20s, they're still doing it, because it's just become such a habit for them. And the kids actually, they do push back a bit, and they kind of go, "Oh, Mum, do you need to do that?" And it's go, "I just want to make sure you're okay." Like, really, at what point are you going to let go of that?
I know. And the thing is, and this, again, this will probably be in a whole nother podcast, but we are robbing kids of living their life.
Yeah.
We are wrapping them in cotton wool for their childhood, which is really so very short. And then suddenly they are young adults and they don't know how to resource themselves in the most basic ways because they've never had the opportunity to really stretch themselves, you know. And kids need to know that they have a soft place to fall, but they don't want it there all the time.
No,
they certainly don't want it visibly, you know. They actually want to know it's there, but they also want to step out and find out where the edges are.
Yeah.
They want to find out how fast they can go until they hit an edge, you know. So I just think that there are so many things to do with this subject matter where we are starting to insert our own comfort as parents.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Into our kids' childhood. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it will come back to bite us all on the arse.
In what way?
I think most fundamentally, kids won't trust themselves.
Yes.
Because they haven't trusted themselves. And then we circle back to, as parents, do we trust ourselves? Like, I trust myself that I've raised sensible kids. I'm pretty confident they won't burn the house down.
Yes.
Like, I actually would put money on the fact that they won't burn the house down. I do trust that they will actually get themselves in pickles every so often, but they're very moderate pickles. You know, they're not big ones where they are really in a space of wondering about their own safety. They just don't. They make really like thoughtful, slightly calculated decisions, and that's what I want to see, because from those small calculated decisions comes the framework for making the bigger calculated decisions.
That's right. And as you said, trusting yourself as parents, but allowing for them to find trust within their own judgment as well. And I think giving them the opportunity to stretch out and to push those boundaries and to discover things for themselves, so that then when they're ready to come to you, they know that it's not because I'm having to face up to the fact that I've made a mistake, but it's like, hey, mum, dad, you know, this has happened. What do you think I should do? Like, you know, I think there's something really rich about them coming to you, asking for help, and maybe acknowledging that they've made a mistake, and knowing that we won't, you know, come down hard on them, but just see it as that learning opportunity. Okay, that's okay. So what have you gained from this? What went wrong? What would you do differently? So it then opens up those opportunities for conversation. But as you said, if we're constantly watching them and taking away those learning experiences, then they don't learn to trust themselves. So, you know, it's still also about us role modeling, you know, the trust in them.
Yes.
So that they can then also trust in them.
Yes, absolutely. I just think there is an opportunity here for us to examine what's happening in our households. And I'm not saying I'm getting it right. In fact, I literally said 2 days ago, we're going to pull the kids back in line with the tech stuff. I'm just noticing little things. Like, it's funny, but QuantiKid 1 has a phone, so, you know, he can log on for work and stuff. Everything's app-based now. And I'm just noticing that he's carrying it around with him. I'm like, why do you need that? Are you on call? Did something change? You actually don't need it, and nothing's going to go wrong that you're going to need your phone. Like, it's not urgent for you. It's actually meant to be just an agent for you to be able to communicate with work stuff and friends now to some extent. But even then, I don't see why it has to be on his person all the time. But the most difficult thing is that I'm carrying it around all the time.
And they see that. So there's that role modelling that is critical. And we've spoken about this before, but it's about active screen time versus passive screen time. But what I love also is about...
I think it'd be good to redefine that again, just for people that need that and pick up that thought.
So the active screen time is about, like, organising something or having to log on to, you know, your work calendar, or, you know, you're learning something. You're creating something. It's not, the passive is just the scrolling, mindless scrolling, or just watching something because you just want to tune out from the world. So that's the passive, but the active is where you're actually creating an outcome from whatever it is that you're doing. So I kind of think that's a really important thing to teach them. So when it comes to anything to do with technology, is that we have to explain to the kids the risks of this, and we have to
Yes.
try and demonstrate to them and show them how this stuff is addictive. And I often say to the kids, this is addictive for a reason.
Yes.
And help them understand and show them how it's addictive. So if you
Yes.
suddenly see them scrolling for whatever reason, say, okay, so is that active or is that passive? Are you addicted to that scrolling because it just makes you feel good? It's sort of like an entertainment factor.
Yeah. Which
and
interestingly, I think, just sorry to interrupt you, but interestingly, and I think this is why it's helpful for parents to know this, when you are in that passive screen experience, you're dropping into a brainwave state that's similar to sleeping.
Yes.
But it actually doesn't help cellular repair, which is what happens during sleeping, right? This is where sleep is so important for mental health.
Yes.
But we're replacing it with scrolling and pointless, programming that doesn't enliven you whatsoever and make you a better person. But the brainwave activity is much the same. So your body thinks you're resting and you are in a hyper-receptive space, but it's actually not for your betterment. And I think that's where it's really important, because people think they're being nourished by doing their Netflix stuff, and guilty as charged. But people think they're being nourished and they are not. It is the trickery of the technology.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so I think it is about also helping the kids understand how do they feel at the end of that Netflix binge. Like, okay, so you've just had a massive day of just being on a screen. One of the things I would often talk to the kids about is, how do you feel now?
Yeah.
And especially my son, he'd always go, oh, I just feel wiped. Like, I just feel wiped out. And, he could understand it. So I wasn't actually saying to him, well, don't do it again. I would just say, be mindful of how it makes you feel. And so,
the power of contrast.
The power of contrast. So I think it's really important if they do it.
Yes.
And everyone will do it, and we all do it. But when you get to that state where you are just constantly on that screen, just get them to notice how it makes them feel at the end of it.
The tech bender. You need to go on a tech bender like you need to go on an alcohol bender.
Correct.
Right? Or a chocolate bender.
It's a rite of passage, isn't it?
It is. I think it is. And I actually, we did a gastro purge in the household the other week, and it was great because I actually love a really good purge. I was like, okay, give me all the beliefs that are right down low in my gut that I think I can't access. I'm going to pull them out with the vomit, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I was coaching the kids in that as well.
Yep.
So I'm all for it.
Yep.
Right? I just think there's a beauty in there. But we did like screens for 4 or 5 days in a row as the family, all took on the frequency of the gastro, and we all rocked the crap out of that, literally. So I think that, there was that, but then it was interesting. The younger ones then tried to say, we're going to do tech today. And I'm like, no, we're not. You're going outside. I don't care if it's raining or sunshine. You're going outside and you're going to connect with nature. Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that, because we don't want to be all doom and gloom with you. And again, I sit here as guilty as charged. Like, this is a constantly revolving and evolving, scene of trying to get it balanced, trying to get some harmony in with technology, because it is enmeshed in our world. It is highly addictive. Like, the cigarettes are available to everyone. There is no age thing going on whatsoever now.
No.
And, no amount of social media exclusion for kids is going to change that. Sorry, government, but you're kidding yourselves. That is a thinly veiled intention for something else that's coming into society. It's got nothing to do with kids' health.
No.
This starts with us parents. And it will only be us parents that say, with our kids in school, we'll actually drive change. I know you tried to change that when our kids were at the same school together to deafened ears. They were not interested in how technology was down-regulating our kids.
No, not interested at all.
As we as parents just turn our attention to what's happening in the nucleus of our own household, I think then you'll start to become aware. Notice the difference of your kids when you have a screen-free day.
They are so important, and that is definitely one of the things you could do, is find those activities or those times when you're together to connect. Even my son's going, I want some human connection, which is beautiful. Great. So he's now understanding the difference.
Yes.
He has loved technology. He
Yes.
has been addicted to
He
technology. There have been many night times where I've woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning and guess who's on the technology?
He's doing his bender.
Oh, yeah, he was doing his benders. But he needed to, not to say that we love those times because they are challenging as a parent.
Of course.
But if we just see it again as that learning opportunity, go, okay, so how are you feeling, buddy? Is that good? So now he understands the difference and how powerful that is. So that role modelling of ourselves and just giving them those opportunities, I think is just critical. So you sort of think about the tribe and, the elders in a tribe.
Yes.
It takes the elders in a tribe to part that wisdom and to be the example and to sort of go, you know what? Those things are not great for us. Now, they may not get that message in that moment. They may ignore you many times over, but that consistency in that messaging and that role modelling, like even at the moment, our house was quite cold for, throughout the winter, and my husband decided to take his office into the kitchen area because that's where he could sort of work.
I bet that made you happy.
Well, it was okay for a while, but I kind of realised that actually that is not great because you're bringing the technology back into the family room, which has no technology. It's a place of connection. It's a place of conversation without all of that. And it just sort of crept in. And it wasn't, intentional. It was purely like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to put the heater on in the office. I can come and work here.
Yeah.
It's a nice and sunny room and it makes me feel better, which I totally get.
Yes.
But, those sort of habits keep creeping in. And so every time the kids might walk into the kitchen or into the family room, it's like, oh, there's Dad on the computer, there's Dad on the computer. Now, admittedly, he was working.
Yeah.
But it's just that messaging.
And it's just changed the energy of the space, though, doesn't it?
It really does. And it wasn't intentional, but it was just that it does change the energy of the space. And I think it's really important to have those tech-free zones in your house.
Yes.
Those places where you can connect. But we got rid of the TV in the family area because we didn't want the TV there because it was just distracting people. People would sit down and they'd go, oh, there's a screen, and they just stare at it.
We got rid of our TV.
Altogether, yeah, I know, which is amazing. So have we, actually. It's not
I meant to leave it out and we just never got it back. And in fact, it's been great.
Yes.
Like, we haven't missed it. We've got a computer monitor if we set up for a family movie. But then, again, it's the inconvenience of it. We have to get the computer monitor out from my office space and set it all up. But there's actually...
What's that, 10 minutes time, Jo?
Yeah, I know. That's right. There's enough piece of shit. But it's that insidiousness of inconvenience that we tell ourselves, oh, we need a permanent fix to this.
Yes.
But you actually don't. There's a lovely bit of ritual. It's kind of like preparing a homemade meal with love, and you have an intention around that. It's actually a really beautiful thing.
It reminds me back to the old reel, the movie reel.
Yeah.
When Dad used to sort of set up the movie reel and we'd all sit down to the projector and that anticipation of the kids are sitting on the couch. Are you ready yet, Dad? Have you got it all set up? There's that anticipation of this fun time together of watching a movie. It can be done slowly. We can slow everything down. It doesn't have to be convenient for that 1% of the time in your week or your month or your year.
That's right.
But that's what we've created by having all these modern conveniences where we can just have it all at the, press of a button or on our phone before we get home. Or we can
Alexa, play the movie.
Yeah, or just can you turn on the heater so that when I get home I'm going to be comfortable?
Just leave your puffy on a bit longer.
Well, I don't know, there's a little bit of discomfort. This is this discomfort thing that we are taking away those experiences of pushing ourselves into a place of discomfort and resourcing ourselves by finding the really simple things that we can do just to still survive that little bit of discomfort for 5-10 minutes. The world's gone mad with technology, that's what I say.
Well, I mean, it's doing its job.
It's doing a great job.
It's meant to, it's not meant to be addictive, but that's how you make a profitable product, don't you?
I think
industry.
This could be bold by saying this, but there's definitely the profit is above our health.
Oh, the profit is above our health. 1 year, 1 to 2 years.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's ridiculous.
The money, cost. And we're again accepting that that's a normal part of our society. And you kind of go, this is not okay. We are being taken advantage of, but we're allowing it to take advantage of us.
We are
That's
complicit.
the difference. We are complicit,
Yes.
and yes, it's uncomfortable for some people to realise that we actually are in control of that,
Yeah.
and we're allowing for that.
So if we wanted to take one small first step towards just easing the grip that technology has on our family, what would be your one first move?
Oh, there's so many.
Well, you get to choose
Okay,
one.
choose
You get
one.
to choose one.
I think it is really about showing kids the value of connection, just doing things that connect us.
So that can be something like, rather than try and stop something, you add in a games night.
Correct.
Yeah, get the board games out.
Get the board games out, just have those technology-free days, take a day's outing as a family in nature and go and do a bushwalk somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's those simple things that makes them that sort of demonstrates to them that actually these things make us feel better.
They do, don't they?
Yep.
I mean, even my kids will rally against it, two of them particularly,
Yep.
halfway through. And then at some point, it's almost like they exhale when we're doing, we don't even call it a bushwalk because they just say, I'm not doing that. I just say, I'm going for a wander.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when we do that, there's a point where they're addicts and they're fighting against their environment. But something that's really beautiful that I think, say, the bushwalk or the bush meander does for families is, firstly, it fosters conversation.
Totally.
Secondly, you're in nature, so that has an effect even on the body in terms of being regulatory and healing. And just into the earth frequencies, because earth has its own frequency. Look up the Schumann resonance if you're not sure.
Yeah.
But just being around nature, the vibration that trees put off, like all those things actually, they make a real difference to how your vibration is sitting within your body. And so I think that's why it's sort of, we get partway through and then the kids who were kind of argy-bargy about it just exhale. They surrender to their environment. And then at the end, they're like, oh, that was great. Can we do that again?
Yeah.
I'm like, until next time when you bitch and moan about doing it, and then we have to go through the whole process again. But that's the deal with being the parent, right? You have to pull the parenting card. And one of the things that I've noticed my youngest do is that once he's finished on, say, watching, because they get 2 lots of pleasure TV time a week, and that's it. So he'll go and finish watching, and then immediately he heads outside.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, and that hasn't come from me, but it's actually like he knows what he needs. He needs to get into nature again to almost counterbalance the experience of being so sedentary inside on screens. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm like, actually, he knows what to do. And so, again, that comes back into, I have a trust in him.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Totally.
It's really nice. So one thing I would do in our household is, I remember Joe Dispenza talking about this.
Yeah.
He said, no tech at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because we love a family meal and we do our best to do that every single day.
Yeah.
But no tech at the table. And so we have a tech box. We're not always great at putting the stuff in the tech box. Often the kids will go, where's this? And I'm like, well, it's in the tech box because we have a tech box. So it doesn't always get on it. But certainly for having a time where the family is gathered, and obviously mealtime is a nice time to do that. You can then extend that into, say, games night or whatever.
Absolutely.
You don't need tech, so leave it in the tech box. You don't need to be available. You're on call.
Yes.
There's nothing else that's happening that's as important as what's happening right now. And so that can be a really small thing to add into your household that can just start shifting, I guess, the importance of what technology is doing and how it's featuring.
Yeah.
And the other thing that, not that I'm adding the second thing, Kez.
No.
But the other thing that I do say, because I obviously am not worried about swearing in front of my kids, given QuantiKid 4 swears all the time.
Got a great language.
His vocabulary is very
amazing.
French,
Yeah.
very wharfy. Is I say, make technology your bitch. Don't be its bitch.
Yes.
And, you know, the eldest is really getting that because I can see that he's always been quite disconnected from technology, and now that he has a phone, I can see that, you know, that addiction, those little addictive habits starting to kick in. I just say to him, are you its bitch or is it your bitch, right? Just keep remembering that. Now, you might want to use a nicer word than me, but I'm trying to be intentionally inflammatory because I want his attention on it. I actually want it to be a slightly violent word because I want him to know it's serious. Like, it actually needs attention. It needs practice to always notice that. Keep reassessing, how am I interacting with this technology? And so, that's one of the things that we brought in this morning.
Yeah, and I think it does, I think the need to be the example again and to hold your ground. So, example, you know, a lot of kids, teenagers, because my kids are the older ones, but, you know, they all wear those AirPods in their ears, and every time I see them, I just think, oh, my God, they're frying their brains. They're frying their brains.
Poor old tiny
Oh, my gosh, they are, absolutely. And I know that when my daughter wanted to have some for the gym, she kept saying, but Mum, at the gym, it's really inconvenient to have those cords hanging around. And I just said, they're just not great for you. I just kept explaining. I kept sort of saying, I don't support it. I don't support it. I said, if you want to buy them, you buy them. But this is when she was not working. I said, I'm not supporting it. I cannot out of good conscience support it. And now that's sort of, she never asked after a while. And she now goes to the gym with them, with the, you know, the cords hanging down, and doesn't question it. Like, I just think we have to stand firm.
You've got to hold steady
You've got to hold steady, and you've just got to believe. And, you know, explain to them, I can't, out of good conscience, allow you to do this. If you want to do it, you go do it. You know, it's up to you. You buy them. But I thought they were worth, but they weren't cheap for her at that time.
Not cheap, but the cost on your health, oh my God.
Exactly. So, you know, we really do need to stand firm on what we believe and explain why we won't support it. Explain it. Give them the information. Show them what goes on. You know, there's lots of articles out there. And, you know, reach out to us if you want some information. I can give you lots of information. But, you know, it's just we have to stand firm.
I love it. Thanks for listening. I mean, it was a bit of a ranty one, but I wanted this conversation for so long. I just care. You really care. I do care. I care because, in fact, this erosion that's happening is going to impact the next generation on and on and on. And, you know, if you care about that, then you need to invest in it. It's really important. It really is. Like, even these small steps that we can change will change the trajectory in some measure, you know. If you don't care, then don't bother planting any seedlings. Like, just don't bother. It doesn't matter, right? And that's completely fine. You get to choose. But for those of us that care, that feel that somewhere in our body that this doesn't look right, that there is, I guess, just an awareness of their laziness with this proclivity for comfort, you know, and ease. And, you know, just hearing that and just noticing, okay, what would it look like if I chose a slightly more difficult way, like saying no to my child?
And I think observing the child and their behaviour around all of this, because we blame behavioural issues a lot on, I don't know, is it maybe, you know, certain, look,
all the labels.
All the labels.
All the labels.
But what about what's causing that?
Correct.
And why are those things so prevalent now? Why are they just everywhere? And you've got to question those radio frequencies, those EMFs, and start to go, well, maybe that's a contributing factor on my child's behaviour.
What are you feeding the body? Both food, environmentally. Absolutely.
And classrooms and any inside environment, offices for adults working in an office environment, you are being, those emissions of those AMFs are constant. So no wonder we feel sluggish and brain fog and all the other things that are going on. And no wonder these kids are struggling to sit still and to behave. You know, we've got to finish it off.
That's right.
Going.
And let me just say, the fish that's floating upside down doesn't get labelled as a floater we look at the environment of the fish and what caused them to become a floater. And we've stopped doing that with our kids. And that is the greatest disservice and the greatest nod to comfort and ease. And it needs to stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop.
Leave that one to just ponder on as well.
Well done, peeps, if you've made it.
We love you. We love your kids. That's why we're here.
That's right. Someone's got to say it anyway. Tell us what you think. We'll look forward to the next conversation. There'll be more Alchemising Education coming up. And stay well, beautiful people.
See you soon.
Hey, Quanta folks. The conversations that we have about Alchemising Education are underpinned by our amazing Take the Leap course for parents, which is all about deschooling the parents. If you're keen to deep dive more, then check out the QuantiMama.com website and find the Take the Leap course. This course is beautiful because it will give you an opportunity to examine where your programs are, where you're creating limiting beliefs and expectations for your child, and it ultimately frees you to be the best advocate for your child that you can be. And that's all of us can ever want for our children, just to love, nurture and watch them become the most incredible individuals that we already know them to be. So more info, head to QuantiMama.com.